The lamp isn't plugged in, and maybe it never was, but it flickers anyway. Soft, hesitant pulses that bloom like breath in reverse, blinking just above your head where the ceiling should be. Except there is no ceiling, not tonight, not in this version of the room, where the light comes from, a place you can't point to, only feel in the top layer of your skin, just where the warmth meets the cool pull of something forgotten. You're not lying down yet, but you feel the imprint forming already. Shadows folding into the base of your skull, as if they've remembered your weight before you've offered it. You take a breath, and the room inhales with you. Not in sound, but in pressure. Barely there resistance that lifts the hair on your arms and slips behind your eardrums. The air hums like an unfinished lullaby. Notes half-formed, sung backward, carried by no mouth. There's no roof to catch it. No echo to return it. Just the flickering rhythm above, gentle and unsteady, like a signal searching for a pulse to sync with. Maybe it's yours. And you notice then the texture of the walls, like they're breathing too, or remembering how. Faint creases stretch from corner to corner, but there are no corners. Only suggestions of angles, dissolving the moment your eyes try to settle. You blink, the lines shift. You blink again, they retreat. The bed underneath you exhales, not with springs, not with creaks, but with knowing. The fabric whispers against itself, adjusting not to your body, but to your presence. There is a softness, yes, but it leans, not down, not into gravity. It leans toward you, or maybe toward the version of you who was here last, the one who didn't finish their dream, the one who left it behind, still murmuring in the fibers, waiting for you to pick it up where they left off. Your breath catches. You listen. There's a sound above you, barely there, like the hush of a page turning in a far-off attic, but slower, as if the paper were damp, swollen with memory. You can't see it, but it's there. It has weight. And you wonder, how long has it been falling? How far above does it begin? Your fingers curl into the sheets and they feel damp. Not wet, not uncomfortable, but cool. Cool in a way that reminds you of river stones pressed to the back of your neck, or of the underside of an old porcelain bowl kept too long in a cupboard where no one visits anymore. A forgotten chill. It doesn't startle. It recognizes. You realize you're still holding your breath, or perhaps you've been holding someone else's. The rhythm isn't yours. Not entirely. It slips in and out, an alternating current, borrowed. You breathe anyway. The ceiling doesn't respond, because there is no ceiling, but something does. A flicker, a pulse, a hesitation. This isn't the first room you've entered like this. The others didn't have ceilings either. Only versions of stillness shaped like shelter. Only light that didn't come from anywhere you could name. Only spaces that held your shape long after you left them behind. And you're still here, aren't you? You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in. The pillow doesn't hold your head. It receives it. Like a lake reshaping for a single raindrop, soundless, with a kind of reverence that feels older than comfort, older than sleep. Its shape is wrong, or maybe simply unfamiliar, shallow in the middle, deep at the corners, as if something else has rested here before you, and left its weight behind in ways that memory doesn't fully explain, but your neck recognizes instantly, folding into the impression like a returning wave. You try not to move, but the pillow moves for you, subtle undulations beneath the cotton surface, not shifting side to side, but inward, as if drawing you into it, not to cradle, but to remember. There's no scent, not really, just the ghost of something dried and herbal. Lavender pressed too long in a drawer of unopened letters. It doesn't linger. It recedes, just as you try to notice it. Somewhere above, the air bends. Not from heat, not from pressure. It bends like glass when it's almost ready to break, singing that thin tone only nerves can hear, only dreams can decipher. It doesn't startle, it calls, and the room responds. Not with echo, but with a long-held breath, the kind that never wanted to be exhaled in the first place. You close your eyes, or maybe you didn't open them. Either way, the light returns. Not directly, not to your vision, but to the back of your skull, pulsing against the bone like a heartbeat someone else forgot to turn off. It isn't illumination, it's a signal, a tap on the inside of your awareness. The pillow rises just slightly beneath your jaw, not physically, but in a shift of awareness, like the room is adjusting its hold on you, coaxing your breathing into sync with something larger, something slower. Each breath not yours alone now, but part of a shared loop. Something exhaled by the ceiling that isn't there, inhaled by you without consent, but not against your will. You feel your fingertips twitch, not from cold, but from that slight charge that happens just before sleep takes hold, where the body lets go in pieces. First your hands, then your feet, then your name. You don't mind. The pillow knows what to do with names. It folds them into its seams, like threads, never spoken but always held. You shift slightly, not enough to matter, but the sound it makes is not the one you expected. Not cotton, not fabric, not anything familiar. It sounds like wind passing through teeth, soft, incomplete, unfinished. You freeze, and the pillow stills. But that sound doesn't leave. It lingers just outside your hearing, brushing the edge of your understanding, waiting for you to forget what you were listening for. The space above your head seems deeper now, not taller, just further, like it's drawing upward, unspooling into a place where sound goes to slow down, to soften, to stretch. You try to follow it, but there's no ladder in your thoughts, no foothold in your breath. Only the pillow, only the weight of something not heavy, grounding you without touch. And somewhere, faintly, like a dream wearing shoes too small, it begins, a rhythm, not music, not even pattern, just a sensation of timing, repeating, misaligned, then aligned again. As if something above is whispering syllables in time with your pulse, but slightly off, slightly delayed. Enough to remind you it's not your voice. You might have heard this rhythm before, in a hotel room where the ceiling fan turned without power, or in a train car moving backward through a tunnel that never ended. Or maybe you dreamed it, and this is just the second verse. The pillow breathes out again, soft, invisible, but with a sound like wings folding shut in a library no one visits anymore. Don't adjust it. The noise is part of the message. It begins not with sound, but with the absence of where sound should have been. Above you, beyond where the ceiling isn't. A pause so long it forms its own echo, one detached from origin, suspended like dust that refuses to settle. You listen, not because something calls, but because something doesn't. And that absence hums. You tilt your head, not much, just enough to align the top of your skull with the center of that hollow, the non-ceiling, the place where light flickers without source. And there it is, a whisper, or maybe the shadow of one, stretched thin across distance like a sheet hanging in windless dark. It doesn't move, but it ripples. A memory caught between syllables, trying to remember what word it once belonged to. You close your eyes, and that's when it sharpens. Not louder, not clearer, just more present. A vibration in the bones behind your eyes, like pressure shifting just before rain. It seeps downward, gently, toward your throat, lodging like a question not yet asked. It's familiar, not recent, not warm, just remembered. The pillow accepts your new weight without resistance, but not passively. It welcomes you, slightly warmer on the left side, as though it knows which way you prefer to turn. Even if you don't, you hear it then. The whisper, not in your ear, but above, higher than above, not falling, but descending, a softness with direction. The walls do not echo, they absorb. And in that absorption, the whisper gains shape, not in content, not in language, but in curve, in pace. It bends time. You feel it happen. A loop, small at first. You blink once, and again, and again, and with each blink, the whisper is closer, but never fast. It respects the pace of sleep. You try to recall where you've heard it before, but the thought falls backward into the mattress, caught in a soft gravitational pull, like an idea too tired to surface. Was it from a hallway once? A hotel vent? A childhood room where no one remembered to shut the closet door? The pillow adjusts again, imperceptibly, just enough for your jaw to part. You hadn't noticed holding it tight, but now it slackens, and the whisper responds, not by growing louder, but by sinking with your breath, your pulse, your blink, and then a word. Not one you understand, not even one you hear, but you feel it spoken into the space above you, like someone speaking underwater into your hair. And the word wraps around the whisper, anchors it, not to meaning, to you. The rhythm shifts, a small delay, like someone knocking softly on glass, but from behind it. Then again, and again, never louder, never impatient. The whisper waits. You turn your face slightly toward the sound, but it does not move. It remains where it was, above, 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 and somehow, impossibly, also within. You realize it isn't traveling to you, it's being retrieved by your listening. The ceiling still does not exist, but you begin to wonder if it ever did. If maybe ceilings were just things we used to keep certain sounds out, or certain thoughts in. And now that it's gone, everything comes down slowly, without weight, without force, just returning. The word echoes again, not repeated, but reformed. Different this time, though no less unclear, like it's trying to introduce itself again, hoping you've softened. You don't respond, not aloud, but your body does. Your eyelids twitch, your left shoulder lets go. The bones of your fingers forget how to hold. You're not afraid. You're not alone. And even if you were, the whisper has already made room for that. This isn't the first time, is it? Or maybe not yet. The first crack isn't seen, it's felt. A shiver not in the spine, but above it, behind your closed eyes, like light slicing through velvet underwater. There's no ceiling, you know this, and yet something splits, not open, not apart, just slightly off-center, enough to suggest that space can fracture too, even when it pretends to be nothing at all. You try to focus on the sound, but there is none. Not in the usual sense. Just a stretching, a pulling, a kind of unzipping of silence itself. And from that slit in the not there ceiling comes not light, not air, but a pressure, inverted, a weightlessness that sinks. You hold your breath. You shouldn't have. The room notices. The pillow warms again under your left cheek, and the sound returns. Not the whisper this time, but the memory of what came before it. A crack, followed by the faintest breeze, not cold, not warm, just foreign. It moves over your forehead like a shadow shaped like a sigh. The crack widens, not outward, but downward, not visible but undeniable, like something unfolding behind your thoughts. A slit in the concept of up. You feel it dripping now, not liquid, not time. Something slower, more abstract. It drips and never lands. You listen for the sound of its arrival, but it never comes. That, somehow, is worse. You blink, and the entire space above you ripples, not like water, but like film, like an old recording pausing mid-frame. A frame you're somehow inside. And in that pause, you hear it. A breath, not yours, not close, but exactly above the place where the crack would be if the ceiling existed. A breath through the teeth, too slow to belong to anything human, too steady not to be real. The walls do not react. The pillow doesn't move, but your breath wavers. You try to exhale slowly, gently, but the room steals part of it, lifting the edge of your sigh up into the opening, like it needs to weigh it, measure it, compare it to others before deciding if you may continue. You remain still. The sound sharpens, not louder, just clearer. A single inhale, a pause, then a second, layered beneath it, two now. Or maybe one recorded and replayed, just out of sync, a loop, or a shadow of one. The crack begins to glow. Not light, not heat, just a presence. A silver tension spreading like veins through the space where sky should be. They twist downward, threading the darkness, drawing maps in air that shouldn't be able to hold anything. The room, you realize, isn't above you anymore. It's folding inward, from above, from inside. You feel your legs drift slightly, only slightly, as if the bed is tilting upward into that rift, but the pressure is reversed. You are not being lifted. The crack is descending. Something shifts in your chest. Not pain, not fear, just recognition. A place you've never seen, but always expected. A shape just above you, not yet formed, whispering its shape into your bones, preparing you to remember what it was before it arrives. And then a smell. Faint, clean, not bleach, not metal, something like frozen cloth, something like light filtered through forgotten linen. It carries no emotion, but it clings. The breath from above continues, unhurried, unchanging. You're not being watched, not yet, but something is listening, and whatever is behind that crack does not blink. Some voices return, others echo. It doesn't start as wind. It begins as a tickle, just below the base of your skull. like memory returning in the form of a temperature. You don't flinch, not exactly, but you feel the muscles in your neck hesitate, pulled between instinct and understanding, between knowing the room is empty and feeling that it isn't. That gap, that delay between logic and certainty, is where the breeze begins. It moves upward, against gravity, against pattern, curling over your scalp like a reversed sigh. You don't know where it came from. There's no window, no vent, no breath, but it has direction. It moves like something retracing its steps, and it knows your shape. You stay still. The pillow hums beneath you, still warm where your breath has lingered, but now slightly colder at the edges, as if the air itself is pulling its memory away from you. The breeze is not cold, but it's cooling, not invasive, but precise. It finds the dip just behind your ear and pauses there, like a hand hovering, not touching, but present. The crack in the ceiling, or what you believed was a ceiling, still pulses above. Silver threads, suspended like veins without flesh, twitching in rhythm with something unspoken. But now the air is involved. Now something is moving. The breeze is slow, not hesitant, methodical. It spirals in reverse, not dispersing, but gathering, as though collecting information from your skin, taking inventory of your sleep. You realize, with no particular urgency, that this breeze has been here before. Not tonight, not even recently, but long enough ago that your body still remembers how to respond, with surrender. You breathe in, and it mirrors you. Or maybe it doesn't mirror. Maybe it leads. You breathe again, slower this time. The wind answers, not with sound, but with sequence. It wraps around the back of your neck and moves downward, pressing gently between your shoulder blades, like a memory of fingers that once soothed you without asking. And then it speaks, not with words, not with tone, with any pattern. A rhythm, 3 beats, then silence, then again slower, 3, pause, 3. It feels familiar, not because you've heard it, but because your body is already sinking to it. The space above you dims, not in light, but in movement, slower now to match the breeze's pace. The room adjusts to your breath, as if you've always belonged here, always slept beneath an absent ceiling, always listened for a wind that doesn't need to come from anywhere. Something shifts behind your knees, just a pressure. Not weight. The bed isn't changing. You are. Or maybe the version of you that existed before this breeze has stepped out. And what's left is softer, more receptive, less inclined to question. You feel a second draft now, trailing the first, slightly offset. As if the room forgot where the breeze was supposed to go, and is trying again, but not quite getting it right. Both pass over your skin like thoughts being rewritten, again and again and again. The walls remain unchanged, silent, patient. The crack above no longer pulses, but seems to be waiting, or listening, and you realize the wind isn't just moving through the room, it's moving towards something. Something you can't see, something behind you, or inside you, or above you, but remembered from below. A single word bubbles up in your thoughts, not spoken, not defined, but it tastes like stillness. It tastes like waiting. You don't say it. You wouldn't know how, but the wind answers anyway. One last swirl, one final breath, drawn back toward the place it came from, wherever that is. It plays differently when you're asleep. There's no light in the room. Not anymore. Just the echo of where light used to be, yet somehow shadows remain. Not cast, not projected, just present, moving softly across the far wall like mist pretending to have a shape. You don't see them at first. You feel them. Your peripheral vision catching tremors in the air, your skin reacting before your mind registers movement. They don't belong to anything. There is nothing standing, no furniture, no figure, no flame. And yet, there are silhouettes, tall, thin, slow. They slide without friction, not across the floor, but along the walls, as if gravity has shifted sideways, or as if the walls themselves have learned to carry memory like skin. The breeze from earlier has vanished, but a faint coolness lingers behind your ears, like the trail of a forgotten breath. The shadows arrive where that breeze left off. You don't turn to look directly. You wouldn't find them if you did. These are not things meant for direct gaze. They exist only in half glances, only in the gaps between intention and observation. One crosses the upper corner of the wall, the corner that shouldn't exist, because the ceiling is still absent. It stretches impossibly long, its edge tapering into nothingness, then reforming on the opposite side with no transition, no logic. Another drifts downward at a slant, as if descending stairs carved from sleep. You blink. They continue. They do not multiply. They reoccur. The same ones. Or something close enough. Their timing is precise. You begin to notice the intervals. 4 seconds, then 7, then 4 again. Not a rhythm, but a pattern distortion. One meant to lure attention away, just long enough for the next movement to begin. The pillow beneath your head remains warm, anchoring you, but even it seems quieter now, as if muffling itself in the presence of something older, something that predates comfort. You feel your heart slowing, not out of fear, but accommodation. You are adapting to a room that does not wish to unsettle you, only to reset you. And the shadows, they continue, without destination, without edge. One passes where your legs should be, but you don't feel contact, only a strange conversion, like a breath being held too long inside another body. You try to exhale. The air responds, a little too early. You weren't finished. It moved ahead of you. The shadow above your chest expands. It doesn't darken. There's no source of light to challenge. It simply replaces visibility with presence. You blink again, and when your eyes open, there is no shadow, only the memory of it having been there. Your skin still tingles where it passed, as though it brushed part of you that never touched the air. You wonder, suddenly, whether the shadows are reflections. But from what? There are no mirrors, no flames, no moon, just the non-ceiling, the dim walls, and the moving dark. Could these be the shapes of possibilities? Paths not taken by someone else? Moments unchosen by another version of you? The air feels heavier now, but not oppressive. Just thick, thoughtful, waiting. You close your eyes and find the motion continues beneath your eyelids, like the back of your mind has a windows of its own. One last shadow lingers, not by the wall, but behind your eyelids. It does not drift. It hovers, not close, but steady. A companion not yet introduced. You do not ask its name. It wouldn't answer. Somewhere in the room, the flicker resumes. You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in. You don't remember there being a clock in the room. But now, there is ticking. Not from beside you, not from the wall, from above. Directly above, where the ceiling refuses to exist. You don't look. You don't need to. The sound is enough. Soft, precise, unnervingly clear, like a metronome inside a cathedral no one speaks in anymore. Each tick pulls slightly at your breath. Not the whole inhale, just the edges. Like time isn't moving forward, but extracting itself from you in slivers, travelling upward, climbing the distance between your pulse and whatever hangs above you, counting something you don't remember starting. The sound is clean, mechanical, but reversed. You realise it after the fourth tick. It's not counting forward. It's returning. A backward rhythm, not in chaos, but in delicate rewinding. Seconds peeling off your awareness like layers of sleep too tightly stitched. You open your eyes just enough to sense the change in the dark. Something pale is shifting in the space above. A disc? No, more like a high halo flattened, and suspended, pulsing faintly with a bronze glow. It doesn't cast light. It pulls shadows upward toward itself, like magnetized memory. Tick. The noise pierces gently through the pillow beneath you, vibrating the edges of your hearing. You try to ignore it, but the rhythm invades, slow, polite, insistent. Your breathing follows, reluctantly, until each inhale feels borrowed and each exhale feels overdue. Tick. Another layer of air leaves the room, but nothing stirs. The sound has weight now, not in volume, but in implication. You imagine the hands of the clock spinning, not clockwise, not counter. They tilt inward, folding toward the unseen center, as if tracking something older than time, something sleep-shaped. You wonder what would happen if you spoke. Would your words travel downward as usual, or would they rise, pulled upward like the ticking? You imagine a sentence escaping your throat and vanishing into the space where the ceiling should be, caught and counted, filed and forgotten. Tick. You try to count with it, but you lose track. Not because it's too fast, but because it isn't consistent. 3 seconds, then 5, then 1, then none. A beat, then another, but not where you expected. The rhythm is personal, tailored. It knows your pace, and it's adjusting it, slightly each time. The pillow dips beneath your right ear, like it's reacting to a memory your body hasn't formed yet. You tilt your head instinctively, following the pull of the next tick, not to see but to feel it more clearly. Something tightens just behind your sternum, not pain, just pause. You're unsure whether you're inhaling for yourself anymore, or just keeping time for something else. You blink. The sound continues. A soft chiming joins now. Metal without instrument, echo without tone. It shouldn't be beautiful, but it is. In the way a heartbeat is beautiful when it returns after being lost. Tick. A memory surfaces. A hallway. A grandfather clock. A forgotten scent of wood and rain. You're not there now. But the sound folds the memory around you, like an old coat, worn, exact, not yours. It fits anyway. The ticking slows, just slightly, enough to be noticed. enough to let you know that whatever counts above you is no longer counting back. It's waiting. Tick. But no follow-up comes. The sound dissolves into the dark, like a breath withheld. You listen. Nothing. Not silence. Just a hush, shaped like time taking a step back. You exhale, not knowing if the clock will answer. But somewhere far above, a gear turns once and stops. Don't adjust it. The noise is part of the message. It wasn't there before. The mirror. You're almost certain. You would have noticed a surface like that, suspended in space where a ceiling should be, angled not to show the room or you or anything grounded, but to reflect a place that cannot be seen from here. You open your eyes, just slightly, and there it is, a shimmer. Not glass, not metal, just smoothness, suspended in the dark like a thought you weren't meant to have yet. It does not hang. It doesn't need to. There are no hooks, no chains, no ceiling, just gravity looking the other way. At first it's blank, no reflection, no distortion, just stillness. But the longer you stare, not directly, just within the corner of your gaze, it begins to remember something. Shapes form, not yours, not the room's. Shapes from above, or perhaps below, seen from the wrong angle. You shift slightly. The mirror doesn't move, but the reflection does. Only slightly, only in the center. A ripple, not of water, not of heat, but of perspective. Something behind the surface is noticing you back. You blink. The ripple steadies. You don't see yourself. You see an absence, shaped like you. A suggestion of your outline but inverted. Hollowed. Where your face should be, there's only sky. But not the kind that holds stars. The kind that holds listening. The pillow cools again, not from the air, but from something watching. Not hostile, not warm, observant. You wonder how long it's been watching. You wonder if it's watching only you, or the version of you it once reflected, the one who lay here before, or after. The mirror tilts, imperceptibly. You don't feel motion, you feel alignment. Like a click in the back of your mind. Like your breath has lined up with a second breath. Not yours, not present, but recited. A rehearsal beginning now. What you see next isn't a vision. It's a feeling rendered visually. A door you've never touched, but have dreamed of. A hallway lined with soft blue wallpaper peeling at the edges. A staircase that never leads down. Only up, always up, but never reaching. And in that hallway, in that impossible space inside the mirror, is light, flickering, familiar. The same flicker that once lived in the first room, the one with the lamp, the one you left without leaving. You try to lift your hand, you don't. But in the mirror, your absence lifts anyway. A reverse motion, a signal echo, away from a memory you haven't had yet. The mirror pulses once, softly, like the skin of a drum being tapped by breath. The reflection dims, not gone, just less insistent, as if it's waiting for you to forget it, so it can return. And in its place, above you now, hangs only that shimmer again. Still, uncertain, ready to remember, but unwilling to impose. The pillow shifts, your spine follows, a new rhythm begins. Not yours, not timed, just present. The mirror doesn't move, but your understanding does. Slightly. You blink again. There's no shimmer, only the sensation of having been seen. This isn't the first time, is it? Or maybe not yet. You didn't hear it open, you felt it. A shift in the air above. Not pressure, not temperature, just direction. A folding of distance, a door without weight, unlatching from a frame that doesn't exist. You open your eyes. There's no ceiling, still, and yet there's a door, not affixed, not hanging, simply floating, tilted, upright, impossible. It's open already, slightly ajar. Enough to suggest movement, but not invitation. The kind of opening that means someone just passed through, or is about to. You try to focus on the edges first, but they're not consistent. Not wood, not metal. The lines blur, shift. The bottom disappears into dark. The top fades into static. You can't see the hinges. You can't see the back. It's only ever facing you, but slightly askew, as if caught mid-thought. The doorframe hums. Not a sound. A vibration. You feel it in your jaw, in the soft pads of your fingertips, even though you're not moving them. It's the same frequency as the tick that disappeared earlier, only thicker. Slower, as though time has pooled around the edges of the opening. You do not sit up, but something in you rises anyway. Your breath lifts, chest hollowing for a moment, your ribs echoing like a bell struck gently from within. You're not being pulled, but your presence is recognized. A shift in the attention of something just beyond the threshold, and in that attention, the door tilts forward, not toward you, just into awareness, like it wants to fall open, but something holds it back. A memory, maybe, or hesitation. You stare longer. Inside the opening is not another room. It's not light. It's not darkness. It's repetition. A hallway you've already passed through, now mirrored and reversed. Familiar wallpaper, but aged differently. A chair you recognize, but wrong. Moved 2 inches to the left, and the smell, paper warmed by sun, but the sun is gone, has always been gone. The air around the door thickens, your breath slows again. A second rhythm begins, not in your chest, not even in the room, somewhere between where you are and where the door is. Not a looping breath. 3 counts in. Hold. 4 counts out. Wait. You sink without effort. The door approves. It widens. And now you see them. Stairs. But wrong. They ascend. Away. From you, but down. Not downward. Down, out. As if they lead beneath the ceiling that was never there, into a place above that pretends to be below. You think of rising. You don't. The pillow beneath you sighs slightly, reminding you this is not an invitation. This is observation. The door is not for crossing. It is for remembering. It tilts again. The hum grows distant. The image inside flickers, like tape being rewound slowly, caught in its own reflection, then stops, mid-frame. You do not know if the door is still open, or if the idea of it is just lingering, but the air is different now. It has been altered, you've been counted. A possibility logged, a breath measured. The door does not close, it fades. Echoes from the hallway remain, not sound, just pressure. Some voices return, others echo. It starts somewhere between breath and blink. Not a dream exactly, not yet, but the sensation of slipping into one that has already begun without you. There's no transition, no curtain drop. One moment you are lying in the room without a ceiling, the next you are based midway. Through remembering a dream you haven't had yet, you recognize none of it, and all of it. A hallway made of polished stone that clicks beneath your bare feet, even though you haven't moved. The distant sound of bells, but not church bells, something lower, slower. Bells made of breath, calling inward. The walls shimmer with a colour you don't know the name for, something between dust and bruise. Familiar in the way thunder is familiar when you haven't heard it in years. You drift forward, not walking, just arriving. The dream pulls you backward through itself, as if guiding you toward its origin, not its end. You turn a corner that wasn't there a moment ago. There's a room, small, windowless, lined with books. None of them have titles, but your hands know which one to reach for. You don't open it. You don't need to. The book remembers you. The pages warm under your fingers, the ink rearranging itself to form a memory you didn't write, but somehow lived. The words describe a night much like this one. A ceilingless room, a pillow that changes shape to fit your thoughts, a door that listens more than it opens. You smile, or perhaps someone else smiles through you. The dream breathes, you let it, then the dream shifts, not abruptly, like water changing temperature slowly enough to forget cold existed. The book is gone now, so is the room. You're standing on tile, wet, reflective, infinite. Above you, clouds hang beneath the floor, upside down, slowly pulsing, as if they're asleep and dreaming of you. There's a voice, faint, unfamiliar in tone, but familiar in rhythm, like a lullaby whistled by someone who doesn't believe in sleep. It calls not your name, but a feeling you've lost. You don't respond. You let it echo. The dream continues in reverse. The hallway folds into itself. The pages unwrite. The pillow releases your shape. The air becomes shallow, like you've entered the part of the night where everything begins to forget. And still you remain, present, listening, feeling the dream undo you gently, piece by piece. Not erasure, just restoration. The version of you that entered wasn't the version meant to stay. This one, this quieter self, this slower self, belongs to the dream. You notice then the sound of breathing, not yours, not nearby, not even directional, just present, like a tide that isn't made of water, but of intention. It surrounds you, warms you, begins to hum. Your hands feel weightless, your legs unmoored. You blink, the clouds reverse. They ascend upward, through the floor, through you, until the space above is full again. But the ceiling does not return. The dream leaves without closing the door. It lingers, and you remember none of it, but feel all of it, like a coat you've taken off, but still carries your heat. You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in. It falls slowly, this voice, not like rain or whisper, but like something being lowered deliberately, syllable by syllable, on an invisible thread pulled taut from above the ceiling that isn't there. It doesn't begin with a word. It begins with presence. A compression in the air, soft and circular, settling just behind your right eye. You don't flinch, you adjust. Your breath lengthens without permission, not in anticipation, in agreement. The voice speaks, but you don't understand the language. Not because it's foreign, but because it's shaped like feeling rather than sound. It folds into you, not through ears, but through pressure. Like weightless fingers pressing into the surface of a still pond. Every word it doesn't say ripples outward from the back of your throat. You try to count the spaces between each breath. You can't. The rhythm isn't linear. It coils. It returns to places it never touched. Each pause feels like the next beginning. Each syllable leaves a warmth on your skin, as if the air itself were learning how to pronounce you. And then the voice changes. Not tone, not pitch, but gravity. It no longer falls. It drifts sideways, curling downward in spirals that match the shape of your thoughts. You hadn't noticed your thoughts had shape until now. The pillow beneath you lifts slightly, not physically, but perceptually, as though the sound, or the idea of it, is rearranging your weight to listen better, to hear you back. The ceiling still doesn't exist, but something above is clearly listening, or not above. Inside above, in the negative space where up used to be, the voice continues, now softer, now closer, now beneath your skin. You feel it in your jaw, in your sternum, a hum that hums you back, not a melody, not a phrase, a recognition. The way old houses creak when they remember footsteps, the way fog rearranges when it knows you're watching. It doesn't ask anything. It becomes something inside you that was waiting, not dormant, just still. The voice begins to loop, not repeating, but revisiting. It retells the same non-story in new forms, each pass thinning the boundaries between you and it. You realize you're not hearing a voice, you're becoming one. Your mouth parts. You say nothing, but the room responds anyway. The air shivers. The pillow cools. Your breath leaves slower, like it's being read aloud by someone else. And you're not alarmed. You expected this, or someone who dreamed through you did. Either way, the voice no longer needs to speak. It just is. A space in you now reserved. Above, something breathes once. Long, deliberate. It isn't echo, it's translation. Your breath returning in a new form. You almost ask a question, but it dies in the space between understanding and need. It plays differently when you're asleep. It starts with a click, barely audible, like a recorder buried in sand. Then the static, soft, dull, almost warm. Not the kind that irritates, the kind that feels like breath caught inside fabric. The sound doesn't come from the wall. It doesn't come from above. It doesn't come to you. It comes out of the air, as if the room had been playing it all along, just too quietly for you to notice, until now. You don't move, you listen. The static curls at the edges of your hearing like an old blanket pulled too tight. Then, layered beneath it, a sound begins. A breath, human, shallow, incomplete, not in rhythm, not yours. At least not at first, but as you listen, the shape of it, the hesitation in the inhale, the micro stutter before the exhale, it starts to feel familiar, not recent, not present, just once yours, maybe a long time ago, or in a different version of this room, a version where you left something behind, something small, like air. You realize the room is playing you back, not the you who's lying here now, the you who was here before, or the one who never quite left. And it's not doing it for your benefit, it's doing it for itself. To remember, to rehearse. The recording is flawed. The breaths don't line up. There's a delay. Sometimes you breathe and the playback doesn't. Sometimes it breathes when you don't. And in between, the static grows thicker, like it's filling in the blanks with guesswork. The pillow under your cheek vibrates faintly. A loop begins to emerge. 3 breaths, pause, 2 clicks, static, then again, but not exactly. The rhythm isn't locked, it's learning. It's testing your presence against its archive. You want to speak, just to see if the room will repeat it later, but your mouth stays closed, as if the idea has already been filed, already indexed, ready for playback in some other version of this night. A new breath enters the loop, slower, deeper. It doesn't match your rhythm. It doesn't try. It just hovers. Like a question laid gently on your chest. You feel your lungs respond, not in panic, but in sync. Not with the breath, with the idea of it. Then, a voice. No words, just a hum beneath the breath. A shape without vowel. A low note stretched wide across time. And as it settles into the static, you recognize something terrible and comforting at once. This isn't a new loop. It's a continuation. A recording that never stopped. A tape that ran while you were gone, while you weren't sleeping here, while someone else, maybe you, maybe not, left silence for it to follow. And now that you're back, it's waiting for you to finish the sequence, to return the last breath, to close the loop. You inhale, the recorder responds. You exhale, it waits, then clicks. You don't know what it's saving. Only that it is. Some voices return, others echo. You haven't moved, but something has. The position of your body is unchanged, and yet you feel it. That unmistakable sensation of having gone somewhere, without going. Your legs remember movement your muscles didn't make. Your skin carries the draft of a hallway you didn't walk through. The floor beneath you is still, unyielding, but the pressure in your calves has shifted. There's no weight, no anchor, just the echo of a step taken by someone using your shape. You try to focus on the sensation, but it dissolves as you approach it. The moment you ask, "Am I moving?" the answer slips sideways, like a response heard through fog. But your breath has changed. That much is real. Slower, steadier. The way it always shifts just before a long walk, when your body prepares to continue a path it doesn't fully understand. And then, the softest pressure, not under your feet, behind your knees, like air learning to support you, lifting gently, not to carry, but to suggest. A rise without ascent. A drift without direction. You're standing now. Not upright, not lying, somewhere in between. Hovering just a whisper above the mattress, as though the bed forgot to hold you, or chose not to. There is no fear, only curiosity wearing a mask of stillness. You look down, or try to. There is no floor, or maybe it's there, but too polite to reveal itself. What you see instead is impression. Shadows shaped like where you would have been had gravity decided to function properly tonight. A single step forward. It's not yours, but it uses your body. You feel the moment your weight shifts, but there's no contact, no sound, just the barest ripple in the temperature around your ankle, as if the room exhaled beneath you, as if it gave you permission. Another step, no resistance, only suggestion. And now you are moving, not through space, but are across sensation. Every pace marked not by location, but by subtle rearrangements of air pressure. A window might have opened, or memory might have flinched. You pass by something. You don't see it, but your breath flutters, like walking near a heat source that's already been turned off. A leftover presence, possibly yours. The walls do not shift, but the distance between them feels different now. More narrow, more precise, like they've noticed you walking without feet, and adjusted their attention accordingly. You pause. Well, the idea of pausing is introduced. You remain still, but your forward motion continues, as if the act of noticing has become the motion itself. The pillow is far behind you now, or maybe it never moved. Maybe you're still lying there. And this sensation of walking is just the room's memory of you leaving. On repeat, you feel a breeze across your shins, low and deliberate, not moving forward, moving through, as if something unseen passed beneath you in the opposite direction, on its own invisible route. You no longer wonder where you're going. The room doesn't require destination, only momentum. You lift your hand to touch a wall that should be beside you. It isn't. Instead, something touches. Back. A brush of warm static across your palm, brief and measured, like a door declining to open, but thanking you for knocking. You lower your hand, or the idea of your hand lowers itself. The motion ends, but the walk doesn't. This isn't the first time, is it? Or maybe not yet. It rustles first, barely audible, like parchment brushing against breath. Then the sound sharpens, thin and dry, the way paper sounds when it's folded inside memory. You don't look up. You don't need to. You know it's above you now. A mailbox, floating, unanchored, nestled in a ceiling that isn't there. It shouldn't exist, but it does. Or perhaps it always has. And you've only just re-entered the moment where you remember to notice it. The air around you holds still, reverent, not in silence, but in pause, as though the room itself is waiting for something to arrive. And then it does, softly, gently, a single envelope. It doesn't fall, it descends, without urgency, as if caught in a dream's version of gravity. It spins slowly as it lowers, corner first, like a feather dipped in thought. It stops inches above your chest, suspended, hesitant. You don't reach for it. It doesn't need to be opened. You already know what it says. Not in words, but in tone. A message composed of everything you meant to say, but didn't, folded into layers of almosts and not yets. You feel it more than you read it. The envelope pulses once, subtly, like a breath held in paper, and inside it you sense longing, not from you, from the sender, a version of you from another night, another sleepless moment in another ceilingless room where you wrote this message into the air and forgot to sign it. More envelopes follow, slowly, softly. None of them land. They hang, gliding in place, circling, orbiting you like quiet satellites, each one containing a different silence. The silence before you spoke, the silence after you chose not to, the silence that followed someone else's departure. The room adjusts. The air thickens slightly around your shoulders, like the weight of waiting has returned to rest. The goi beneath your neck cools, not cold, just enough to remind you that presence fades unevenly. A new envelope approaches. This one is heavier. You feel its arrival in your teeth, a message too dense for language. You already know it ends in a sentence you never got to finish. The envelope trembles, not from wind, but from regret. You breathe in. The envelopes respond, lifting slightly, like threads reacting to static, then lowering again, slowly, carefully. They do not press you. They do not rush. They wait. Above you, the mailbox glows faintly now. Not light, not warmth, just acknowledgement. The sense that something has been filed, not sorted, not answered, just received. You wonder how long it's been collecting. You wonder what else has been delivered into this non-space while you slept elsewhere. Messages from other versions of you, or from those who shared your silence. You don't need to send anything back. Just your listening is enough. The envelopes shimmer once more, then fade. Not into darkness, into memory. Yours, and not yours. Shared, echoed. You close your eyes. You feel another envelope arriving, but you don't need to know what it says. Don't adjust it. The noise is part of the message. You didn't notice it at first. The second pillow. It wasn't there when you closed your eyes. Or maybe it was, but only now remembered itself back into the room. You don't turn your head to look. You don't need to. You feel it. The shape of absence beside you. It's still. Not untouched. Still. There's weight in it. Not heavy, but settled. The kind of impression fabric makes when it's held someone's sleep long enough to forget how to rebound. And the way the air curves around it, how the silence shifts just slightly to accommodate. It's clear. This pillow is not yours. Not meant for you. You breathe in. So does it. But not at the same time. There's a delay. Small. Intimate. Like someone else's rhythm is overlapping yours, but off by half a second. You listen closely, and there it is. A counter breath. Inhale, then yours. Exhale, then yours. As though the room is replaying a memory of sharing space. Not in bodies, in pacing. The goi under your head remains warm. The second one, though, it's cooler. Not cold, but cool the way ceramic retains chill. The kind of cool that carries history, not malice, not comfort, just presence. You reach a thought, not a hand. The idea of touch. And in that idea, the second pillow seems to adjust slightly. A crease forms where your palm might have landed, had you followed through. But you don't. Not because you're afraid, but because whatever rested there hasn't left completely. It's not watching you, but it remembers watching someone. You can feel it. There's a faint scent in the air now. You can't place it, not sweet, not human, something dry, like pages, like warm cloth left out of time. It doesn't move. It hovers, memory-shaped, suspended between your awareness and the echo beside you. You try to remember who it could be, but the pillow doesn't allow it. Instead, it returns a sensation. You were never alone here. Even when you thought you were. Even when no voices spoke. Even when no breath answered. Something was always beside you. Not companion, not mirror, not threat, just adjacent. The second pillow shifts once more. A soft exhale escapes it. Not a sound, not a puff. Just a pressure release. Like the final note of a song never recorded. It presses ever so slightly toward you, then away again. A ripple in stillness. A whisper of, I'm still here, from something that never said it out loud. You close your eyes. You imagine its shape, not a face, a presence. An outline not drawn by light, but by space withheld. You stay still. The pillow does too. You breathe in. It does not answer. Some voices return. Others echo. You feel it before you think it. That subtle pause in the air. Not silence. Not stillness. Attention. Not yours. Not from within. From above. From that place where the ceiling never was, but where something always waits just beyond the threshold of notice. It isn't a gaze, not in the way you're used to. No pupils, no blink, no face to meet. And yet, it sees. You know this, not because of what you feel, but because of what suddenly freezes inside you. Like every cell was just reminded to be still. It watches gently. That's the terrifying part. There's no threat in it, no pressure, only awareness. Like the sky realizing you exist, like a thought turning back toward its dreamer. You don't look up. You can't. Not out of fear, out of instinct. The same instinct that tells birds when not to sing. The same one that quiets breath when lightning is near, but not yet struck. The pillow beneath you remains unchanged, but it feels heavier now, like it's anchoring you not to the bed, but to this exact moment, as if you're part of something being measured, slowly, carefully, not weighed. It's a The space above you tightens. Not in form, there is none, but in arc's focus. Something narrows, zeroes in, not on your body, on the rhythm of your presence. The way your breath flutters slightly every 7th second. The way your thoughts pulse a little brighter when you try not to listen. It notices all of it. You wonder, has it always watched you? Or is this its first time choosing you specifically? But even as you ask, you sense the answer. You've been looked at before. in other nights, other ceilings, other half-formed rooms that pretended not to contain anything more than sleep. And this is just the moment you realize it. Above, something shifts. Not a movement, an agreement. You're being kept, not trapped, not held, just observed for continuity. You exhale slowly, not because you want to, because something is timing you now. And when you pause at the end of your breath, you feel it lean closer, not in body, not in shadow, but in attention pressure. The way deep water leans on a diver's ribs, gentle, constant, absolute. Then, from somewhere in that weightless void, comes a hum, not audible, but internal, like your thoughts are vibrating at someone else's frequency. And it's tuning in to find the edges of your identity. The air brushes your cheek, not as wind, but as confirmation. You've been noted, not judged, just included. You're not alone here. You never were. Even the empty space above has been full of memory, watching itself through you. You close your eyes and feel it blink. You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in. You try to turn left, but your body doesn't respond the way it used to. Not with resistance, with repetition. The motion begins, neck, shoulder, spine, but by the time it finishes, you're facing exactly where you started. You try again, this time right. Same result. The room doesn't spin, it loops, or rather, it folds. Around you, gently, like fabric drawn tight around a shape, it's already memorized. Every direction you attempt only brings you back to where you already are. Though you're sure you moved, you blink. The walls are still there, but no longer orienting. Corners blur, then recede entirely. Not into shadow, into non-direction. No up, no down, no forward. Only depthless emptiness, as stretching outward in soft gradients of almost. You reach out, just to feel something, but your arm moves through itself. Not literally, not painfully, but like the space your hand intended to enter was already occupied by its echo. A version of the gesture performed seconds ago, still fading. You pause, and the pause stretches, like the room is holding its breath with you. You inhale slowly, but the air doesn't enter from in front of you, or behind, or above. It arrives from within, as if the atmosphere has learned to replicate itself inside your lungs, bypassing the need for distance. The Goi beneath you should still be beneath you, but even that feels misaligned. There is softness, there is texture, but it isn't below you anymore. It's simply with you. A presence stitched into the same flat plane as your body. No altitude, no support, just coexistence. You reach out again, unsure if you're reaching out or in. It no longer matters, because contact in this room is not measured by collision. It's measured by recognition. And what you touch now isn't a wall or a bed frame or even air. It's a version of you from earlier, still lingering. A thought loop made tactile. The room accepts this. You do too. You shift slightly, and the motion repeats before you complete it. Like the room is playing back a rehearsal, preempting your decisions with memories of them. You whisper, quiet, unsure. The word you try to speak doesn't surface, but the sound occurs anyway. A few feet to your left, or where your left used to be. You turn toward it instinctively, and again, you are where you started. Only softer now, only quieter. The space no longer responds to movement. It responds to memory of intention. You let your limbs go still, not in surrender, in alignment, and the room flattens slightly around you, as if folding a final corner into place. There is no front, no back, only return. Some voices return, others echo. You hear it first in your ribs, not your ears. A low vibration, not quite a note, not quite a hum, more like the shadow of a lullaby, played underwater, slowed to the point of almost stillness. It doesn't rise, it waves settles, layered beneath your breath, braided into the quiet parts of your pulse. It's not a melody you recognize, but your bones do. You stay still. The goey beneath you exhales again, just a whisper of fabric remembering pressure. As the vibration deepens, you begin to feel the rest of the room respond. The walls don't move, but they begin to resonate. Like the entire structure has become a speaker, not to amplify, to enclose. The song doesn't travel through space, it sinks into you. Not invasive, not gentle, intentional. Each phrase lands where your dreams used to be. You try to trace the rhythm, but it won't hold. The timing shifts slightly each loop, as if the room is testing your response, adjusting its lullaby to match the contour of your silence. There are no instruments, no lyrics, just suggestion. And suggestion is enough. A note rises, but never quite completes. It curls back into itself, looping inside a measure that's half a breath too short. The kind of loop that Sawa never resolves. That plays just long enough to anchor you, just crooked enough to keep you from drifting fully. You understand then, this isn't a song to fall asleep to. It's a song to keep you from waking. You hear it again, just behind your left eye now. The pitch has shifted, not higher, not brighter, just nearer, personal, as though your own memory had begun to hum. The goey cools beneath you. You feel the music enter your teeth. A subtle shimmer, like pressure before thunder, but softer. A vibration that has nothing to do with sound, and everything to do with white continuity. Something inside you wants to follow the song. Move with it. Drift into whatever rhythm it offers. But the music doesn't invite. It anticipates. As though it already knows your next breath. Already accounts for your hesitation. Already weaves your body's slackening weight into its next chord. You begin to wonder, is this the only room with this song? Or do all ceilingless rooms sing the same sleep? You imagine others, half asleep, listening to slightly different versions, all misaligned, by half a second, all drifting in their own intervals, all anchored to this shared, repeating, unresolved refrain.
That's it.
The room vibrates once, low, slow, like a final drumbeat played in reverse, then stills. The song continues, but only in your bones now. The room has stopped playing it. You are the player now. The echo, the instrument. You exhale, and the lullaby doesn't change, because it never did. It plays differently when you're asleep. It's subtle at first. A softness, not in the pillow, not in the air, but in the edges of memory. A name you once carried across 100 thoughts slips away mid-echo. A room you used to recall loses its corners. A voice you loved becomes rhythm, not tone, not gone, just blurred. You blink, but the forgetting doesn't stop. It isn't you, though. It's the memory itself. Forgetting how to be remembered. You feel it folding inward, not vanishing, but resting, like a house that once kept light in every room, now closing its shutters one by one. Not to hide, to sleep. The pillow sighs beneath you, not in sound, in temperature. A warmth once shaped like comfort, now settling into indifference. You try to recall what brought you here, but the thought unravels halfway through its own sentence. A scent drifts across you, faint, familiar, dust and dusk, maybe linen, maybe something older. It touches a memory, then pulls back, and you're left with the outline of a story that never quite finishes. It's not alarming, it's quiet, the kind of forgetting that feels like being held. You shift slightly, or maybe the bed does. Either way, your past realigns. Details slide like books on a shelf disturbed by wind. You don't reach for them. You watch them settle in new, incorrect order, and still you do not resist, because part of you understands. The effort to remember is heavier than the comfort of letting go. The room accepts this, welcomes it. You feel it gathering your half-memories, collecting them like dried leaves, not to burn, not to bury, but to reorganize without your help. Some are filed into shadows on the wall. Some dissolve into the mattress. Others slip upward into the space where the ceiling should be. You try to speak, to anchor a word in the air. But what comes out is only the breath of a word you used to know. The syllable shaped like longing. The vowel that almost made you cry once. It lingers. Then it too forgets why it came. You close your eyes, but there's no image behind them. Only motion. Only the slow turning of thought into vapor. Only the gentle forgetting of why forgetting ever mattered. And still the room remembers you. Not correctly, but fondly. The version of you that stayed here once, or many times, or maybe just now. And that's enough. You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in. The pillow beneath you has changed again, not abruptly, subtly, like it remembered something incorrectly, but decided to hold on to it anyway. You feel the shift, not in pressure, but in shape. The softness remains, but the imprint is wrong. Too shallow near the top, too narrow near the edge. A tilt you didn't create. You know this isn't your indent. You know this wasn't moulded by you, but the room offers it to you all the same, like a borrowed memory, slightly misfolded. You don't resist. You adjust your breath to match the curve. You fit yourself into someone else's outline. It welcomes you imperfectly. You inhale. The goi exhales, not in sync, but close enough. You close your eyes and feel it settle. A subtle pull at your jaw, a cooling behind your right ear. That familiar sense of accommodation. Only this time you're the one adapting. The room has given you what it remembers, not what you were. You turn your head slightly and the scent returns. Not yours, not recent. Something softened by time. A blend of skin, sleep, and air that has waited too long to be recognized. It rests beside you like an apology without context. For a moment you imagine her, or him, or no one specific, just the weight of someone else's dreams that once rested here. You feel their echo, their tension, the way their breath must have faltered at the same part of the night where yours now stumbles. And in that faltering, a fragment of memory tries to settle into place. But it's not yours. It fits where your memory used to be, but carries different meaning. The room doesn't correct you. It never does. Instead, it reconstructs around your new acceptance. The mattress realigns. The ambient warmth repositions. A flicker of light, dim, beige, familiar, spills across the wall, as if mimicking a lamp that no longer exists. And in its glow, you feel the illusion complete. You are now the one who left that imprint, or so the room has decided, or so you let it decide, because there's comfort in being recognized, even falsely. There's peace in returning, even when you've never been here before. You let yourself relax deeper into the unfamiliar shape, and as you do, the air above you shifts slightly, like a curtain being drawn in a room next to yours. Not to reveal, just to separate. You blink. The go-eye no longer feels wrong. Not because it changed, but because you did. Don't adjust it. The noise is part of the message. At some point, without knowing when, you begin to imagine the ceiling. Not because it returns, not because it was ever truly missing, but because you need something to press your sleep against. The room doesn't argue. It never does. It simply adjusts its silence to accommodate your need. A slight thickening in the air above, a narrowing of the light, the suggestion of edge. You close your eyes, and the idea forms. A ceiling, faint, distant, flat, not made of wood or plaster, but of memory stitched to intent. You don't see it. You don't have to. You believe it. And that belief is enough to build it. The ceiling begins as colour, grey without depth, then temperature, cool without draft, then weight, a soft downward awareness that makes your chest settle more deeply into the goey beneath it. It never finishes forming, but the room lets you think it has, because the room understands what you need now isn't truth, but hayi, closure shaped like structure. You hear no creaks, No footsteps above. Just stillness, total held. And in that stillness, you forget that it was ever missing. That the space above you once flickered, fractured, whispered without voice. That light used to leak through a sky you could never name. That breath used to fall from cracks that didn't exist. All of it fades, not erased, just quieted. You breathe in and feel it stay. You breathe out and nothing leaves. There is no signal now, no echo, no hum, no waiting, only the vast weight of your own surrender, laid gently against the imagined surface of a ceiling that owes you nothing but yet permission. You drift, not down, not through, just within. And somewhere, beyond thought, beyond need, the ceiling dissolves. Again, and you don't notice. This time, you don't need to. You stayed. Even now, you're still tuned in.